This is Soul Mechanics, practical tune-ups to be a healthy human, and I'm your host, Kate Foley. What do you think of when you hear the word medicine? Is it a pill that your doctor prescribes? Does that pill prevent you from experiencing uncomfortable or maybe inconvenient symptoms? How many medications do you take? Do you know how they interact with your physical body? Are they a part of your day? Do you expect to take them for the rest of your life? Some people consider medicine as an ally, assisting them toward balance. This can come in many forms. If you step back and take a look at your life, your health is influenced by your environment, your daily interactions, your friendships, your family, your food, your activities, sunlight, birds, music, air, color, your senses, your thoughts, and your emotions. The way your shoes fit are just as much a part of your health as your breakfast. If you sit under fluorescent lights for 8 hours a day, breathing conditioned air, listening to air vents and the low hum of machinery, versus walking daily among oak trees, breathing in a warm current containing oxygen from the leaves of those trees, listening to birds and crickets along your walk, how do you think your body responds to each circumstance? Do you detect any medicine in either scenario? It's important to think about how we define our daily interactions. I interact with one specific coffee mug every morning. What does the shape and color of that mug mean to me? How do I treat that mug? Does that mug bring memories of people and past times in my life? What about the water with which I take my omega-3s every day? Am I thinking about my interaction with that living substance? If you don't think water's alive, think again. As I've said before, our lives are a compilation of relationships. Our health and well-being is very much dictated by the dynamics of our relationships. What's your relationship with food? Is it colorful? Do you look forward to preparing your meals? Do you prepare your meals? Is it mindless? Or do you put forth energy and love into your food? What about your relationship with bacteria? Have you thought about what you're doing when you use antimicrobial products? Do you understand our relationship with microorganisms? One of my favorite professors of all time is a microbiologist. I'll never forget one lecture that shattered my perceptions of our relationship with microorganisms. She talked about how much we vilify bacteria and microorganisms in general. In that class, I learned that we evolved from bacteria. Bacteria is an essential part of our health, but our relationship is a balance. It's all about numbers. In fact, we have an approximate 1-to-1 ratio of human cells to bacterial cells on our skin and in our bodies. Did you know that we have Staphylococcus aureus on our skin? Our immune systems require this ongoing relationship. You cannot, nor would you want to, eradicate bacteria from your life or from this earth. Do you think there's a possibility that microorganisms could be conscious? What if our microorganisms could feel our fear and judgment of them? What if they sensed our judgment every time someone coughed? What if they could feel our desire to eradicate them? And if we really do have a 1-to-1 ratio of human cells to bacterial cells, that's 50% of our composition, so to speak. So essentially, we're fearing and desiring to eradicate half of ourselves. That's self-hatred in my book. I like to think of my microorganisms on my skin and in my body as in dialogue with all of my other cells. This ratio or composition of human cells to bacteria and other microorganisms points to the lack of boundary between us and the outside world. A lot of people think that there's some sort of thick line between what's inside our bodies and outside our bodies, as if we're all separate and different. But that's just not true. In fact, in Western medicine, the gastrointestinal tract is considered external. So if you take that perspective, we're always exchanging air, fluids, microbes, and other particles constantly. It's a part of life. This leads me to my next question. With all this constant exchange, and with all of the necessary interactions with microbial life, why do so many people fear what is essentially themselves? Why don't we trust our bodies? I'm not saying that developing and dying from an infection isn't a possibility, but don't you think that living in fear of something that is a part of us is sort of backwards or maybe even damaging? I think it's becoming increasingly clear to many of us that we are in a time of crisis. If I take one example like human health, everything else relates. Our climate, our politics, global relationships. What is in one is in the whole, yin and yang. You cannot say something is all yin or all yang. You cannot separate the two. They are infinite partners. We need to see that everything we do to one affects everything else. Medicine is no different. That's why it is very important to evaluate and define medicine in your own terms and in balanced terms. I recently experienced COVID for the first time. What a sandpit of an experience. What a magnificent teacher. She took me down into my depths. She opened the door to the dusty basement of my oldest and deepest grief and expressed it without mercy. There was no light in that basement. All I did was feel. I cried more in 2 days than I had in years. You know that gut-wrenching sob that pulls you forward into a fetal position? Yeah, that's what I did. And it was necessary. But she also forced me to look at my medicine. What is my medicine? What relationships can I turn to when I feel ill or vulnerable? Where can I go when I need an unseen ally? For me, it was my brother texting, "Are you still alive?" Or 2 friends checking in, telling me they're sending me love. My aunt and my cousins threatening to arrive at my door and tend to my illness. Lying in my backyard in the sun, feeling the breeze fill my congested lungs, feeling that same breeze on my face, listening to the cicadas, drinking water, and allowing my plant allies like lemon balm, nettle, cordyceps mushrooms, cayenne, bilberry, red clover blossom, chaparral, and oat straw to lead me back up the stairs and out of the basement. Every time I took tincture or tea, I heard them speaking to me, warming my heart and opening my veins. It wasn't a long recovery, but it was intense, and I was very aware of my medicines at the end. Our medicine grows around us. When something occurs like Lyme disease, the medicine for it occurs at the same time. Look around you. Your medicines are there and available. You just might not have the vision or education to see it as medicine. This brings us back to awareness and listening. But you need to listen with vigilance and remove your judgmental filters. Reconsider a weed that's burgeoning between the pavers on your front walkway. Maybe that weed has medicine for you. But the medicine doesn't just involve preparation and ingesting it. It involves honoring the offer. Medicine is about hearing it call to you, responding to the call, learning about the medicine, developing a relationship with it, and then committing to it and calling it medicine. Medicine works through the sacred act of recognizing the consciousness of a plant or even a synthetic pharmaceutical, and its call to offer itself to you. A relationship develops that is not unlike a healthy marriage. 3 major tenets must be present: respect, honor, and trust. If those tenets are not present, you are not engaged with medicine. If you're honest with yourself, you'll know when you're engaged with medicine and when you're engaged with dependence. Dependence is a type of craving, usually to cover up discomfort or pain. There can be a feeling of guilt or shame involved. The dependence itself takes something from you. Medicine is a conscious ritual of appreciation and choice. It is life-affirming. It engages your spirit and lights your path, and it brings you into balance. Nature is always bringing us into balance. Balance isn't always comfortable or convenient. You might be in a state of chronic fatigue because your body's attempting to bring you back into balance. Are you tired? Rest. Why fight it by drinking excessive amounts of coffee or sugar or other drugs? Maybe your life requires a change. Why are we drugging ourselves to remain in an unhappy marriage, or an unsatisfying job, or drugging ourselves to do things our bodies just aren't capable of doing, or being someone who we don't want to be? How much is your health worth to you? Is money and appearance more important than your health? Are you attending to everyone else in your family or your community at your body's expense? What are you compromising to avoid a change in your life? Listen for your medicines. I can assure you, they are likely sitting close by, waiting for you to recognize them. This is Kate Foley. Thank you for listening.